good girl you are.
As a dog recovers from being abandoned and starved, investigators raise the stakes as they try to track down who did that to her. Police spent hours searching the Kentucky River after getting a tip about a possible body there. Tonight, new information about the investigation. And a man admits stealing more than $1 million in donations to political causes, including some of the money donated to Senator Mitch McConnell.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 11.
Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us tonight. She has come a long way in less than 2 weeks. A dog found abandoned and starving outside a Jessamine County apartment complex is doing much better tonight. But now investigators are stepping up their efforts to track down her owner. So they're offering a reward, hoping that will help. Monique Blair has an update on the investigation. It's our top story at 11.
Almost 2 weeks ago, this 6-month-old puppy was brought into the Jessamine County Animal Shelter and was then immediately taken to a local veterinary clinic because she was emaciated and near death, weighing only 11 pounds. Now she weighs 20 pounds.
It's what a good girl you are.
But now Animal Control wants to know who is responsible for starving this puppy and leaving her for dead.
It's horrific. Because an animal to get in that shape, it takes quite a bit of time for it to get that far, especially in this case. The animal was almost a skeleton when we got it.
The ASPCA has stepped in to help, offering a $1,000 reward to the person who provides information that leads to an arrest in this case. The puppy is now being held here at the Jessamine County Animal Shelter, but she still cannot be adopted because she is the evidence in this case. Mike Cassidy is the Jessamine County Director of Public Services. He says he does believe there is a person responsible for starving this puppy.
There was evidence that a collar was recently on the dog. You could see a little bit of a matting to the fur.
So now as the search for the person who hurt the puppy continues, she is making new friends, learning new tricks.
Sit. Good girl.
And making sure she doesn't miss another meal ever again. In Jessamine County, Monique Blair, WKYT.
What a sweet face she has there. Well, when arrested, the person responsible for starving the puppy will face a charge of animal cruelty in the 2nd degree, which is a misdemeanor. More showers and storms are rolling across parts of the Bluegrass tonight. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey shows us what he is tracking right now on the First Alert Defender. We've got one right on top of us,
yeah,
right?
Getting a little noisy here at the station on Winchester Road. That's just ahead of a cold front. One of 2 fronts I'm tracking over the next 24 hours. Straight to live First Alert Defender that has kind of a little broken line of showers and storms south of the Moorhead area, right on in to the Lexington Bluegrass region, and specifically right on top of downtown Lexington, extending back into northern parts of Woodford County. Some thunder and lightning here just to the north of Keeneland around the Masterson Station area, downtown Lexington, with all kinds of heavy rain. That stretches from the southwest side of town around Beaumont into the downtown area over toward Lafayette, where obviously the school bell will be ringing here in just a matter of a couple of days. Bryan Station down toward Henry Clay, and just getting on top of the Hamburg Pavilion area and toward the Interstate 75 corridor here in the southern parts of Fayette County. Additional rumbles of thunder point southeast from here across the Mountain Parkway corridor, especially parts of Powell County, southern sections of Menifee County, heading into Morgan and Wolfe counties. One of 2 fronts that will continue to sweep in here from northwest to southeast. So planning your Tuesday, still a leftover shower thunderstorm tomorrow. Watch out for a little touch of fog as well. Upper 70s to low 80s tomorrow afternoon. Smallest threat for a shower, but by the end of the day, northerly winds are ushering in, Amber, some early fall temperatures. It's a September brand of air we'll track for you coming up here in just a few minutes.
All right, Chris, thanks so much. The search for a possible body in the Kentucky River has ended for the night. At last check, Lexington police, firefighters, and dive teams hadn't found anything in the river. Police say they're not sure yet if they will continue the search tomorrow. Investigators say they received a tip from a third party about a body possibly being in the river. They spent hours searching the river near the Valley View Ferry. The ferry was closed all afternoon and tonight while police searched. New tonight, police have arrested a man they say attacked his ex-girlfriend's 16-year-old daughter. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office charged 42-year-old Otha Wesley with kidnapping, assault, and resisting arrest. Investigators say the victim told them she had just finished mowing and was putting the lawnmower in a barn when Wesley jumped out from behind a tractor and tried to drag her out of the barn. She says Wesley then hit her 3 times in her right eye before she was able to get away. Police say the victim told them Wesley had threatened her in the past. Tonight, a state of emergency has been declared for Ferguson, Missouri. It comes after protests marking the anniversary of the death of Michael Brown turned violent yesterday. Hundreds of people have taken part in more protests tonight. Police are coordinating emergency management in and around the city. Weijia Jiang has the latest.
Ferguson, Missouri is now under a state of emergency.
We've devoted quite a bit to rebuilding Ferguson, and I do not want to see it burnt down or looted.
The emergency declaration is in response to Sunday night's violence. Police shot and critically wounded 18-year-old Tyrone Harris Jr. after gunfire erupted between 2 rival groups. Police say Harris fired at their unmarked SUV and they returned fire. But Harris's father says his son was unarmed.
He just happened to just be at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Harris is in critical condition at a local hospital. He's charged with several felonies in connection with the shooting. Sunday's violence came after at least 2 days of peaceful protesting here in Ferguson. On Monday, about 50 people were arrested during a sit-in at the federal courthouse in St. Louis. And later, protesters blocked both directions of Interstate 70 near St. Louis. While the community remains on edge, many are optimistic.
We got a long way to go, and that's my message today. We have got to have patience. This didn't happen overnight. It's not going to change overnight.
Police and protesters are hoping future demonstrations will stay peaceful. Weijia Jiang, CBS News, Ferguson, Missouri.
Missouri Governor Jay Nixon called Sunday's violence, quote, a sad turn of events carried out by a criminal element. He called for peaceful rallies today. New tonight, investigators say a 12-year-old Boyd County girl has died in a shooting. It happened just after 8 tonight at a home in Catlettsburg. Police haven't released many details about what led up to the shooting, but at this point, they say they believe it was just an accident. Today, a Virginia man admitted he stole more than $1 million from Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell's campaign and more than a dozen political causes. Samuel Pate pled guilty to 3 counts of mail fraud in federal court. Investigators say he ran a marketing company that helped politicians and political causes process donations, but they say he spent more than $1 million that had been donated on vacation homes, luxury vehicles, and jewelry for himself. The investigation started after a donor to Senator McConnell's campaign contacted the FBI when he didn't receive a customary thank you note. Investigators say this is more than just a case of fraud.
These were donations from donors from all over the United States that were trying to participate in the political process, and his fraud disrupted and frustrated those efforts.
Pate will be sentenced in November. He could receive up to 60 years in prison. The government has seized much of what investigators say he bought with the donations. Tomorrow, family, friends, and colleagues will say goodbye to a Kentucky State Police sergeant. Funeral services will be held for Sergeant David Gibbs in Elizabethtown. He died Friday when his police cruiser crashed in LaRue County. The funeral will begin tomorrow afternoon at 1 at Severance Valley Baptist Church. A visitation was held tonight. Another visitation will be held tomorrow morning from 9 until noon before the funeral. A man police say owned 7 dogs who attacked a Lincoln County woman was arrested on new charges today. Danville police charged Christopher Pope with 4 counts of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. He was already charged with animal cruelty and harboring a vicious animal. The Lincoln County attorney said the dogs involved in the attack were all put down today, but a rescue group says another of Pope's dogs named Fiona was also put down today, even though she wasn't involved in the attack. The county attorney couldn't tell us why the dogs were euthanized.
I don't know. I've talked to Judge Adams, our judge executive, a few times about this over the weekend and even this morning, and I haven't really got the full reason.
Because the day that Loretta was viciously mauled, Fiona had never left the kennel. She was in a secured kennel.
A group of people showed up at the Lincoln County Animal Shelter this morning with a legal document they claim would have kept the dogs from being put down for now. that the shelter was closed today. New tonight, workers at an animal shelter in Perry County say they'll have to put down some cats unless they're adopted in the next few days. The Kentucky River Regional Animal Shelter has more cats than there's room for. So workers say 50 to 60 cats could be euthanized Thursday.
This will be the largest euthanizing that the shelter has done since 2011, if this happens.
To keep that from happening, the shelter is asking for help finding the cats new homes. The shelter is offering the cats for $5 to $10 each, along with vouchers for free spaying or neutering. Workers say the cats are all fully vaccinated. New tonight, a dryer fire caused some tense moments at the Kentucky Basketball Academy here in Lexington. Firefighters were called there about 8:30 tonight. They say they were able to keep the fire from spreading beyond the dryer. They later removed it from the building. Firefighters are still trying to figure out what caused that fire. No one was injured. A Kentucky father accused of beating his 4-month-old son to death didn't have anything to say in court today. Radcliffe police charged Daniel Cox with murder after the child was taken off life support over the weekend. He was silent during his arraignment in Hardin County this morning. Witnesses told police Cox beat the baby while driving Thursday. Police say they aren't sure why the baby was beaten, but the grandfather of one of Cox's 3 other children says Cox was an angry man.
I think he has a temper because me and him had words when I first met him right here in my driveway.
Cox is being held on a $500,000 bond. He declined a request for an interview from jail. New tonight, a grand jury has indicted the Carrollton police chief and one of the department's officers. Chief Michael Wilhoit and another officer are charged with complicity to commit kidnapping, complicity to commit custodial interference, and complicity to commit official misconduct. Investigators say the 2 men unlawfully restrained a mentally disabled inmate, took him to Louisville, and put him on a bus to Florida. Investigators say a judge had ordered the inmate be taken to Eastern State Hospital. New tonight, 24 Kentucky counties that had damage from last month's floods can now apply for emergency grants. The State Energy and Environment Cabinet said the money can be used to help clean up solid waste caused by the flooding. Fleming, Jackson, Johnson, Knott, Lincoln, Menifee, Montgomery, Nicholas, Owsley, Rowan, and Wolfe counties are among those eligible. To receive a grant, a county has to provide a 25% match. Tonight, investigators are trying to figure out what caused a fire that destroyed a Pike County church. The fire started this morning at Piso Free Will Baptist Church in the Brushy community. Firefighters say by the time they arrived, there wasn't much they could do to save the building. One man says he was driving down the road, saw smoke coming from the church, and called for help.
God doesn't put anything in your life that you can't handle. So I think what they said, it was a community project to come together, try to help build it back up.
The pastor of the church says he will continue to hold services until a new building is finished. He says he'll hold services in the parking lot if he has to. Tonight, a pilot is talking to us about surviving a crash in his small plane. The Zenith airplane crashed yesterday near US 127 in Boyle County. James Board says he spent 6 years building the plane and was on his first flight in it. He says he knew something was wrong shortly after takeoff, so he did what he could until the plane hit the ground.
I kept trying to keep away from houses and anything, you know, other than open fields. So it led me to here.
Board says he couldn't land on the highway because there was too much traffic, but he ended up in some cherry trees while trying to make a nearby field. Board walked away from the crash with just minor injuries. The FAA is trying to figure out what caused that crash. The building that used to be Buster's Billiards and Back Room will soon be rocking again. Our news partners at the Herald-Leader report the building on Manchester Street will be renamed Manchester Music Hall, and it's tentatively scheduled to open September 30th. Event details are coming soon, but the building is expected to host concerts, private events, and fundraisers. Buster's closed last year.